Alrighty guys, as here bringing us another Dragon Ball Legends ToP guide video, hopping in for Season 18. So last season, coming out of it, we ended at rank 211 with GT. I had the full walkthrough and everything, so make sure you guys are on the lookout for those. I'll put up a part 1 like halfway through the season, then I'll put the part 2 towards the end of the season as well, right? So let's go ahead and get right into the top 5 teams for Season 18, and before we continue, there will always be timestamps in the description down below. Alright, so the first team we're going to be talking about is GT. So for obvious reasons, this is the team I ran last season, so I think it would be safe to say we're going to go ahead and hop into this team for this season right off the gates. And keep in mind, this top 5 list isn't necessarily in an order from greatest to worst or anything like that. These are just the top 5 in no particular order. So the units needed for this team, in my own opinion, right, this is my own opinion, I think Zenkai 17, right? Zenkai 17 is amazing for this. I don't really need to talk too much about him. He does have, he has Zenkai stats, right? He's going to be carried by his stats. He is able to nullify a key blast attack, whether it be a blast attack from a blue card or just a blast attack just in general. He also is just very tanky overall, and he's going to provide your other greens with those juicy Zenkai buffs, right? And speaking of other greens, the next needed unit, in my opinion, is this green baby down here. He's fantastic for this game mode, and I honestly don't think a lot of people give him enough credit because he also supports, right? He not only is he going to be getting these Zenkai stats, he's also going to be able to restore his own health every single turn by 3%, as well as giving your allies a buff right here, the little the row above you. So if I click on his character right here, you'll see the row above him is going to be highlighted right there, right? It's very, very nice, and in this season you're going to need some greens and some yellows to back you up, and we'll talk about that during the map awareness. So speaking about yellows, you have a lot of options for your yellows. Your yellows can be any 2 out of these 4. So you got Oob, right? I personally like Oob a lot. You have the Zenkai Vegeta, who is a free-to-play Zenkai, by the way, an extremely old unit that I feel like a lot of you guys will have at 7 stars and up. And then you have Nova Shenron right here as well, also in Z tier, by the way. I don't think his kit is all that, but he does provide debuffs, and he heals once he gets below 50%, but I also don't think that's the greatest ability in the world either. But he's definitely usable. I would say only if you have him at a high amount of stars. And then the last yellow that you can look at in S tier is this LF4, who actually has a decent kit right here, right? I think his kit is not bad at all. He restores his own health up to 3 times, only by 1%, but I would only suggest this guy if you have him at a high amount of stars right here. And I think the one thing to keep in mind is that Nova and Sin Shenron are Z tier, while all the other yellows are S tier. But my personal favorites are definitely going to be Majub and that yellow Vegeta, just because pretty much I have the most experience with those two. Majub is able to heal himself as well as providing support for his other units, for his teammates. And then there's a Zenkai yellow Vegeta. I think it speaks for itself. Those extra Zenkai buffs are going to come a long way. As you can see right here on the right hand side of the screen, this guy actually piled on 3 yellows. He brought the Majub, the Nova Shenron, and the Sin Shenron right there. I would bring in Nova. I probably might do the same setup that he is doing. I would probably replace the Sin Shenron with the Zenkai Vegeta, but I do respect the 3 yellows right here. My Nova, sadly, is only at 2 stars, so I'm not going to be using him in ToP. As for your blue unit, you can pick from Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku, Ice Shenron, or Super Baby 2. Personally, out of all 3 of those, I think this Kid Goku is my favorite, just because he has the ability where he inflicts your opponent with can't attack for a single turn. But if you guys don't want to use him, you also have the option of Ice Shenron, who can mitigate a strike attack, right? But I think the only thing about him mitigating that attack right there is that if he does get attacked by a blast card, or he takes the aggression for a lot of turns, he will take a lot of damage, at least in my own experience. It might be different for you guys depending on your star levels, depending on your friendship rank as well, right? Friendship rank is very important. And for the last blue that we can talk about is also an S tier with the Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku, is the Super Baby 2, who provides a lot of healing. So he might be the best choice for you overall, but Ice is in Z tier while the others are not, so that's going to affect your points as well, right? So basically finishing it off right here, the last bench unit that I have is this purple Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who does reside in S tier. I honestly don't think you need to bring in a purple unit this season. As you can tell right here, this guy is not running a purple at all. Instead, he's just piling on the yellows and the greens right here, right? And so I honestly kind of agree with that. I might even advise for that. I think the biggest thing here for me is that I don't want to bring in that Super Saiyan full power Goku. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Let me know if you guys actually do bring him in. I'm not necessarily sold on his kit or anything like that, but he doesn't seem like anything special, like at all. Like I feel like he doesn't do anything crazy here, but like I said, having those greens and those yellows is going to be super valuable for this season, so you guys might want to go ahead and do that. Ultra Omega Shenron is just absolutely amazing, so let me know how it goes if you do run this team. Alright, for the next team we're going to be talking about is Regeneration. So I think this is going to be the most popular team this season, and this is the team that I'm probably going to recommend the most this season. This is probably going to be the best team this season. I'm just, truth be told, right? Just being completely frank with you guys. The first unit that I probably consider is Purple Janemba, and now I know I said that you probably don't need to run a purple for this season of ToP. Purple Janemba is just so damn good from everything that he does, right? He is able to get... He basically nullifies a blast attack, right? And after nullifying a blast attack, he's able to get 50% to his special move gauge, and his special move also inflicts heavy bleed for 2 turns, getting some extra tick damage on that. His Zenkai is free to play, by the way, and so he is going to be able to get those Zenkai stats overall. If you don't want to use him as your purple unit and you do want to bring in a purple unit, you can bring in this purple DKP, but he's extremely squishy, so I only recommend him if you have him at very high stars. If not him, go into S tier, right? This is an S tier unit, by the way. You can go ahead and pick up the purple Android 21. Also, I do believe she does need stars, but she's a little bit older, so it's a little bit more likely that you'll have her at a higher amount of stars. She also has this ability where she can restore her own health by 10% at the end of the second turn. Alright, now let's talk about yellows. So once again, you want multiple yellows and multiple greens this season. So for yellows, you have 4 options basically, in my own opinion, right? Or actually, I'm pretty sure that's just basically it, right? Those 4 options is you have LF Zenkai Piccolo being the best option right here. If you guys don't have him Zenkai, then I'm going to be real honest, you might be at a little bit of a disadvantage. You know, even just like at low Zenkais, like I was running him at Zenkai 6 the last time I used Regeneration or something like that, but just having him at the Zenkai level is going to be a night and day difference between him being Zenkai'd and not being Zenkai'd. But after that, you can consider the Legends Road Piccolo. I probably would use both of them together right here, because this Legends Road Piccolo is a free-to-play unit and a free-to-play Zenkai as well. He has supportive capabilities for regeneration, which is really nice, and he can also heal himself. After that, you have a Zenkai DKP. I don't have this guy Zenkai'd, but he heals himself as well, so I imagine when he is Zenkai'd, he's actually a really, really good unit. He's going to be able to Zenkai buff your LF Piccolo, and he's going to be able to just have the Zenkai stats overall. And the last yellow unit that I will mention is this Perfect Form Cell. This guy's actually running him, right? So like once again, you see these, you're going to see this trend right here where they're piling on the yellow units. This guy's running the Perfect Cell DKP, like the Zenkai DKP and the Zenkai LF Piccolo. And so, I mean, I think this guy's pretty good. At the end of the turn, he restores his health by 2%, and then he also has a cover change as well as a buff to Hybrid Saiyans, which is important for Hybrid Saiyans or Tag Saiyans, which is very important actually overall. It's pretty good. So you can use any of those for. All 4 of them are in Z tier. So now the one thing that I do criticize about this guy's team in particular is that he doesn't have a green unit. I think at least 1 green unit, 2 green units is safe. I think 3 green units is overkill. So green units. I think the best green unit that you can bring in here is Fat Boo, just because of the healing properties right here and this ability, the soft body ability, right? He's able to heal himself, he's able to heal those around him. It's very nice overall. And then after that, you can consider bringing in Green 21, who is in Z tier, who's also able to go ahead, and she has this ability where she basically does the solar flare and she inflicts your enemy with can attack for 1 turn. This is on the second turn though. That's the only thing. It's not right at the gates, right at the start of the fight, but that could be very, very important in certain situations, right? Like if you're going against Goten and at the start of the second turn, what if you solar flare Goten? He's not going to be able to super attack you, and that turn at least, right? That's actually very massive. I don't know how likely that is to happen, but it could happen. But other than that, you also have the option of this free-to-play Kid Buu, who actually has support in his kit as well as restoring his own health, which is very nice. And if you want to go ahead and dip into S tier, you also have this Metal Cooler who heals himself upon every single strike. So that's something also that you can keep in mind right here, right? So on strike or blast arts, he restores his health by 3%, activates twice, and he also has the buff where he restores 15% of own damage received up to 15% of his own health. So 2 ways to heal right there from this guy. So overall, most of these guys can heal themselves. Regen is very tanky, but sometimes they lack in offensive capabilities, right? So this is where you might want to consider bringing in this boot tanks. This is why I have boot tanks on the field. This is why this guy has boot tanks on the field more than likely. It's because he can get a blue card at the very start of the turn, which can help you out in the long run, especially just taking someone out immediately. The one thing that I will say about boot tanks though is that he can go down very easily, so if there are multiple green enemies, just slide him on the bench. Then obviously another blue unit right here is the Super Baby 2, who does have healing properties as well. You can even see right here, this guy actually piled on the blues instead, and he opted for Super Baby 2 Boo Tanks and the Zenkai 7 Piccolo right here, right? Because that guy's also going to be giving Zenkai buffs to the blue regeneration units. For your red unit, there's a lot of options. Like you have Kid Boo and Red Janemba and Zenkai Metal Cooler all in Z tier. I think even the Cell, right? This guy has the Zenkai Cell right here. All of those units are in Z tier. So you have a lot of options right there. I think all of those units are good, right? The Zenkais need the Zenkais though. I'm going to be real honest with this Cell and this Cooler, they need the Zenkais right here. Well, Kid Boo, he doesn't. He just needs stars. This Janemba also needs stars. But if you don't have all... I think it's unlikely, but if you don't have any of those guys, you guys can go ahead and bring in the Ultra Omega. You're going to lose some buffs, some parts of his kit from not being ran on a complete GT team, but he is so damn good that he can easily still be ran on this. The next team we're going to be talking about is Sun Family. So first of all, I hate this team. Like, just to clarify, I hate fighting this team, but it works so damn well, right? That's why I had to include it in here in the first place. So basically the way this team works is that Red 18, it heals, right? Red 18 just constantly heals this Blue Gohan, who takes all the damage from the from right off jump, right? Literally, this Gohan takes aggression for the entirety of the first round, and Android 18 is just there to heal him. And while he's doing all of that, you're just basically praying that you're just going to start destroying the enemy team with your other units right here, right? Goten himself is very good. He gets a guaranteed blue card second turn. Kyle Goku, he gets a guaranteed blue card on the third turn. And then obviously you just have a lot of damage overall with the other Zenkais right here, right? So that's basically all you got to know for this team. The reason why I hate this team though is because it is all over the board, right? Because that's how much this team gets ran, because it goes based off popularity and how much this team is being ran by actual players, and then it gets turned into bots that we fight on the board. And so that's why you see it everywhere, because it synergizes so well. But the reason why I hate putting this team on this list is because even though all of these units are basically, like, if I filter this if I reset all this, essentially literally all the units are Z tier, right? But there's very limited options, not really any replacements, so everyone kind of already fulfills their roles, so there's not really many options for me to go ahead and say, if you don't have this guy, replace him with this guy. It's a very niche team, right? And the backup doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter who you have on your backup. Like, this guy has Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, who I think are trash, and this Green Gohan, I don't think that Green Gohan is garbage or anything like that, but he's definitely not like a really like OP unit or anything, right? So for my backup, I would just put this guy on here, who is an extra healer, just in case you do start getting extra low in HP. And then this guy right here, because he can generate some more blue cards, right? Off of every single fight, he's able to get 50% to special move gauge at the very least. But truthfully, this setup works so damn well that I don't even think your backup really matters here. Now for the next team I'm going to talk about is Androids. So Androids, I think, is going to actually be pretty good this season, right? Red 18 and Green 16 are still absolutely chef's kiss together. They're probably like one of my favorite duos in the entirety of ToP, because 16 has a cover change that is not restricted by HP, in case you guys didn't know. So it doesn't matter how low you are in HP. If you're not low at all, you will perform a cover change on a blast cards as long as you're in that range right here. If I click on 16, you'll see he's going to be able to cover that bottom left diagonal right there. The one thing that I would say is that you might need to consider bringing both Zenkai and MVP 17 at the same time. So you might want to take out, sometimes you might want to take out 17, or you might want to take out 18. I'm not too sure how this is going to work, but I do know that you want those yellows right here. As you can see right here on the right hand side, this guy is actually, using the Android 18 Zenkai alongside the MVP 17. And this is so crucial, right? Because you have all the yellow units on here. In terms of like replacements and units that you can use, when you're talking about yellow units, I almost want to say like you want to just bring in all of the yellow units, right? Like I have MVP 17 on here, Zenkai 18, and the perfect form Cell. And I'm noticing this trend a lot. If you look at the leaderboard and see at other people's teams, they're kind of doing the same thing. But one thing I do want to mention is that I feel like Green 21 is going to be really good this season, especially on this team, because Green 21 and the free-to-play Zenkai 21, they work so damn well together because of this ability right here, where the Zenkai 21 is able to buff up androids, buff up regeneration, and buff up girls, as well as healing the transforming warrior tag. The only person that can fulfill all 4 of those tags in this game is Android 21, right? So putting Android 21 with other 21s just absolutely makes sense. She is in Z tier, so she's going to be giving you those juicy points. She also has a solar flare, so I feel like it's just a all around win-win right here. This is the formation that I would probably use with androids right here, but it might be your mileage may vary. But this guy has a different setup from me. I mean, there is some similarities, right? The 2 yellows, you have the 21 right there, but he doesn't have Super 17. The Zenkai Super 17, he has the first form cell instead, right? So, but he's still ranked 66, right? So it's definitely, you can pick and choose in a way. I probably would not bring a purple unit here with my android setup. For the most part, I typically would, but for right here for this season, I don't think I would. But if you do want to bring a purple unit in, then obviously if you have Cell at high stars, go ahead and bring him. If not, then I probably would only recommend this purple 21 right here, right? Because like I said, purple 21, the 21s want to be ran together. All right, so the last team I'm going to talk about, and this was actually a very hard one to choose because honestly, those 4 teams could have been the video right there. The 4 teams that I talked about prior, but the last one we will talk about is LOE. So the biggest issue, in my own opinion, for them at least, is that their best green, in my own opinion, is this green metal cooler. Right, he is in S tier, he's not in Z tier, so once again, you're going to be taking a hit to those points, but he does heal himself, right? He heals himself upon taking damage, and he also heals himself upon using a strike or a blast arts, which is very good. But other than that, we will be getting the new free-to-play green Pod Frieza. I'm not too sure on his kit. I don't know what his kit is as of right now. We're going to be getting him tomorrow, so if you want to wait until he comes out to see how good he is for ToP, then by all means, that is definitely an option for you guys to play the waiting game. I mean, Golden Frieza is alright, I suppose, but definitely not an amazing kit. He does have a buff against Saiyans, so that is something right there at the very least. I think some of the most clutch units on this team have to be this LF Frieza right here, and then this DBS Frieza, because they both share a similar ability in which they use their green cards at the beginning of the match, and they inflict the enemy with can't attack for 1 turn, giving you the opportunity to take someone out, take one of your opponents out before they even lay a hand on you. The team overall has amazing synergy, but is extremely limited where I can't really give you too many alternatives from the optimal lineup. Right here on the right hand side though, you can see there is one alternative that you see is this Broly and Chile. The thing with Broly and Chile is that they only buff Frieza Force, they only Zenkai buff Frieza Force, so Cooler is not going to be getting any buffs from that guy at all, but the unit overall is amazing. So I guess that definitely can be an option for a blue. Alright, so now let's talk about map awareness. So this keeps happening, dude. So this keeps happening. So so when you load into the ToP to the board, immediately the first 5/5 stage, you click on it, you click to challenge it, and it's this damn Gohan. This damn Gohan. You have Red 18, you have Kaioken Goku. Goten, the yellow Goten, thankfully is not on it, but it's just like, bro, when am I not going to see this team? And this time you have the Goku Vegeta unit here instead. So if you try running a mono yellow team against this, it will not work because they'll just swap out, right? That's part of their kit, is that they can swap out against type disadvantage. That's why you need greens and yellows. That's why I was emphasizing that heavily, because this is not the last that you'll see of Goku Vegeta. And you know how I know so many people were using this team, or using Goku Vegeta in particular? Because I believe Goku Vegeta was like an S tier unit last season. But if you look right now, if I reset everything, I go to purple, I go to tier C, they went from tier Z all the way to tier C, and this is based like on a popularity basis, right? So they knew that if you use this unit so much, they're gonna get lower down in tiers, and so that's why they're all the way down here. That's how I know everyone was using them last season. So even like right here, look again, this damn. So right here, you kind of just get stuck right here. It sucks. I mean, there's no, at the very least, there is no Gohan, blue Gohan on this stage, but it's just a very annoying stage overall. So there is a Sagas from the movie stage that I think you guys should be aware of. Goku Vegeta is here as well, but make sure to kill Bojack before the 3rd turn, because he will get a super at the end of turn 2. This guy can heal, all that good stuff, so just be aware of your enemies and their abilities. Bojack obviously being one of the bigger threats right here. Also seeing a couple more regeneration teams here as well. Regen isn't too bad. You just got to kill this LF Piccolo before he gets his super on turn 3. And this green Android 21 will use a solar flare on turn 2. So if you have the damage output where you can kill this 21 first and then immediately kill this Piccolo, that might be the move right there. Just maybe. Alright, so let's talk about new characters now, starting off with, of course, Ultra Super Gogeta. So let's immediately hop into his kit, read it. I haven't read it yet, so this is going to be the first time reaction. So at the start of the battle, 100% to damage inflicted, minus 30% to damage received, and 80% to ki recovery. That sounds damn good right off the gates right there. 100% damage inflicted is nothing to scoff at. And it keeps going. On strike or blast arts hit to self, he restores his health by 2%, 10% to special move gauge, 10% to key recovery. Already, this guy is worth running. 100% this guy is already worth running just on that first unique alone. We look at the second unique, he has it looks like a cover change for the 4 corners of your board, so you kind of maybe want to run him in the middle slot. I mean, the cover changes are not that powerful in this. I mean, there's some that are really powerful, like 16, Android 16 is one of those, but for this to actually proc is your health has to be 30% or lower on one of your allies, and then he'll perform the cover change and nullify an attack, which is kind of meh. But on hit, if the target is tag powerful opponent or episode sagas in the movies, you get a 20% to damage inflicted. So you could be getting a total of 120% damage right out the gates right there, which is very nice. And at the start of the second turn, you activate a special action, which is basically your green card. You cancel your own attribute downgrades and cancel enemies' attribute upgrades and buff effects. That actually sounds pretty damn great. Now let's take a look at his ultra ability right here. So at the start of the battle, gets 5% to special move, damage inflicted cannot be canceled. That's for your whole board for all of your allies right there. I mean, I think it's all right. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but it's all right. Just a nice little bonus. At the start of the battle, per ally tag Fusion Warrior, you get 5% to damage inflicted and 5% to key recovery. So this is kind of where it starts getting a little bit suckish, I think, because Fusion Warriors isn't necessarily built for ToP just yet. I mean, this guy will definitely put them in a step in the right direction, but they still need a healer. They still need a lot more stuff right here to actually be valuable. So him wanting to be ran alongside a Fusion Warrior is a little bit rough. And then he has an ability right here where every time an ally is defeated, you get 20% to your special move gauge, and you upgrade your special move or it activates once. That is terrible. That is essentially useless for you. Every time an ally is defeated, you don't want that to happen at all, right? And so this ability is more so meant for when you encounter him as an enemy. This is a really good ability for him to be an enemy, meaning that you have to target this guy pretty early on. You have to target him basically first right here. Right, but it's basically worthless while you're running him. Overall, I still think he's pretty good. I would still run him. And people are going to run him, and he's probably gonna get like drove down to like B tier or C tier. And the other new character I wanted to talk about was the Pod Frieza, but unfortunately I do not have his kit available to me. I've seen his PvP kit. I was able to find his PvP kit on like different sources, but I was not able to find his ToP kit at all. So if you know what his ToP kit is, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe you guys can go ahead and see it there. I'm sorry about that. With that being said, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. Let me know what teams you guys are going to be running, and let me know how annoyed you are by the Gohan Goten setup right here. And, as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!